All righty, thank you, Andrew. Today is September 11th, 2024. This is our 5 o'clock special work session, and I would like to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, we have a lot of presenters tonight. Before we get going, I would like to take a moment of silence. Today is September 11th, and unfortunately, I think we all know what happened on that date, so if everybody would please take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Fortunately, that's one of those days we'll never forget, and I think everybody in this room could probably tell us exactly where you were when that happened. So unfortunately, we had to live through that, but we had a lot of good people and first responders that helped with that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the work session, and I believe the Franklin County Humane Society is here. I'm going to ask presenters if we could do maybe 10 minutes or so, and then if you need that long or a little bit longer, and then we can do any Q&A from there. And hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you for having us.
You can go ahead and state your name just so everybody watching knows kind of who's presenting, if you don't mind.
My name's Carrie Lowry. I'm the Executive Director of Franklin County Humane Society.
Stephen Middleton, I'm on the board, filling in for John Hibbert.
And John is with us watching on video, so it's available by phone if we need him to answer questions. So by now, I guess, the court is aware that on July 1st, the Humane Society served notice of our intention to terminate our service contract with Franklin County Fiscal Court due to our inability to reach a new service agreement. And that deadline is approaching, as you know, October 1st. And so we've been asked by the court to come tonight, presumably to present our case for that request for a new service contract. So primarily we're here to answer questions, I think, that you all may have of us for that request.
Ask you to, that letter that was sent out to, I still don't think has been circulated to the full court. Could you just explain what services and what it said?
Yeah, so my understanding is since at least I think 2010, the Humane Society has been contracted by Franklin County Fiscal Court to provide the animal control facility for the county. That is a statutory requirement that all counties in the state have operate an animal control facility. There are a lot of variations in how the counties are allowed to do that, one of which is to contract with another organization or another county. And so in this case, that is what the city and the county have chosen to do, is contract with us. In that time, of course, we've done our best to provide that service. In the summer last year, my understanding is from the emails that John Hibbert reached out to the court and asked that we discuss a new service contract with a new fee structure. That did not generate much discussion. There was some discussion over the winter. I think John presented at a finance meeting, January or February. Multiple requests by email by Mr. Hibbert to have a discussion, to come to an agreement on what those terms would be. We were informed, as the public was, that the county passed its budget for fiscal year 24-25 with an amount determined by the court, I guess, the finance committee. I'm not sure how that process works for you all. and we were not involved in that discussion up to that point. And so at that point, that is when the board, the Humane Society's board, voted unanimously to serve notice to the county that we were going to terminate services unless we could come to a new agreement. And so that's kind of the history of it as briefly as I can offer it.
So Carrie, just so, and thank you again for being here tonight. So right now, the court is paying $74.5, I believe. Is that right in the, what our number is in the budget? It's close to that. Let's just-
74.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously we do the animal control officer, his benefits, truck, vehicle, things like that. So the request, just to make sure we're all on the same page, is an additional $50,000, is that correct?
So the request is for the fee to be $110,000 a year. So whatever that math is, 36,000 increase. It's based on a number of factors, not the least of which, as you all know, the cost of doing business quite simply has increased dramatically in the last 5 years. I want to point out that that is not a reflection of us operating out of a new facility. It's simply the cost of caring for the animals, paying the personnel who are charged with that responsibility, and operating at a standard that is acceptable for an animal control facility. So, I'm happy to go over numbers with you. I can discuss what other agencies' budgets are for comparably sized communities. I will tell you that 65% of the animals that come into our facility come in as stray animals. About half of those come from the city and half come from the county. And the county's contribution to our budget is about 20%. So our donors are currently subsidizing the responsibility the county has for caring for those animals. I think you all have in front of you just some rough numbers that we put together. Our cost of care, we based it on a 14-day period of time. The state mandates that we hold a stray animal for 7 days, and after that time, that animal becomes the possession of Franklin County Humane Society. As a private organization, our mission is to rehome as many animals as possible, animals that are suitable to be in the community. And so we're not simply a clearinghouse for animals to come in and leave after 7 days. Some county facilities operate that way. As a private entity, we do not, and we're not prepared to begin operating that way either. So it financially does not make sense for us to continue to offer the services we offer at the rate that we offer, given the volume of animals that come in as stray animals. Stray animals, animals that are being held on bite quarantines, animals that are being held for court cases, or, police holds, things like that. They all fall within that animal control umbrella.
All right, what questions do the court have for Carrie?
I got questions, but it may not be to her, it might be to you or somebody. I've actually, it's probably my fault, but I have never seen the contract it's under that could be lapsing in October. Do we have, I'm sure there's a copy of that somewhere around.
Our contract with the
You got that now? I didn't see the contract.
That's not the copy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we don't have it. He just has it.
You've got the contract.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that contract says. I don't know what the bottom number is on that. You said it's 110,000. Is that what's there now?
No, that's the amount that we're asking for. The original amount in the county contract is, for as long as it's been in place, has been self-renewing. I believe that, I don't have it in front of me.
According to the contract, it's 49,000 plus the CPI, which once you figure out the CPI, I think the last time I looked at it, would be for pursuant to the contract, that was about $66,000. That would be, I guess, the county's obligation to the Humane Society from that contract that was entered into, looks like February the 17th of 2011. And then again, I guess, amended in September, on September the 9th, 2015. So, like I said, with the CPI and everything in the contract, it was about $66,000 when you do those figures. So I think the county's paying about $8,000 above the contracted price, which is allowed in that contract.
We can get you a copy of the contract if you'd like to see it.
Well,
And the contract does allow either entity with notice to terminate the contract. It's a pretty basic, I mean, it's not a complicated document, I don't think.
I know this is a special meeting, and it's nothing, we can't add to the agenda, but I would suggest, since we only got one more meeting this month, the 25th, and then the contract lapses October the 1st, or the last day of September 1, whichever, which way it works out, but there might be I'd suggest that we set up a group to meet with them to work on the contract in the future. We can't let it lapse, I don't guess, because we have no alternative right this minute, unless you want to build a dog pound somewhere. And it seems to me like there's already one here. I'm not going down that road, for sure. I've been around a long time, and I've seen too many barns with a fence around them. We don't want to do that, not here in this county. So that's my suggestion.
Okay, no, and that's one of the reasons we're talking about it today, because of that. Square Dykes.
I want to make sure that I understood, Max. I'm sorry, guys. It looks like, so September 9th, 2015 was the last change to the contract, is that correct?
That was the last amendment day.
That was the last minute. Okay, so we have not increased funding since then?
It
Is
gets
It
increased by the CPI.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So whatever the inflation rate is, gets figured into that contract amount, which, I mean, I've got some figures as far as what's been paid over the last, I guess, decade.
Yeah.
And the amount has gone up each year over the last
Yeah.
decade.
So I guess the only thing I'll say is that, I have several cats and several dogs, and it is really expensive to feed them right now. They're like feeding children at this point. So I'm just going to throw out that I'm probably paying double for food for my animals than I used to. And so I think that's something we need to keep in mind. They have to eat, and it is costing a lot more to feed them at this point, and to care for them, so.
Okay, thank you.
So as I understand it, we're paying $74,000 a year now,
We pay $74,000.
plus the salary of the animal control officer, his truck. What would that work out to be?
You good, man?
I don't have the amount for the animal control. So
I do.
from my understanding,
I do.
it's not
Okay,
only,
I'm trying to educate myself because I don't know.
So it should be actually in
It's in the budget.
material that I sent to Jack. I don't know if that's been distributed to you all.
We have 3 pages, Carrie, that.
Yeah, so on the page that says fiscal year 23-24 animal control budgets by county,
Okay.
you'll see Franklin County is kind of in the middle there.
Yep.
We based this on counties that were a similar size, that were operating their own animal control facility. So you can see that the number,
So the 106,500, is that the number? we're
that's the
referring
budgeted amount for last year. Now, I know in the Finance Committee meeting, Michael presented, or somebody presented, some information about what the actual expenses were, so it was a little bit higher than that. 112,940, so what, $6,440 more than this lower number. I can also tell you what the per capita is, what that works out to for each county per
Could you walk us
capita.
through this whole page, Carrie? Because I think it's eye-opening exactly what other counties are paying comparatively to us.
Right, so, I mean, just Scott County, so we had done this early, like in 2021. This was, in some of our own budgeting. So these numbers are all from the different jurisdictions published, either expenses, direct expenses, or their published budget for that year. And the reason for that is because some of those counties did not have their actual appropriations done at the time that we did this in July. So Georgetown, for instance, population 58,000, their animal control budget is 573,000, a little over 573,000. Pike County, you see, now the difference on Pike County, the reason that top number is 708,000, the lower number, 465,000, is their actual appropriations, because they had about 150,000 in their budget for building improvements and things that they hadn't actually spent at the end of June. Nicholasville, Jessamine County, you see their numbers. Of course, Franklin counties speak for themselves. Shelby County's the next smallest county, and theirs is 360,000, and they do not do any cats. So they don't even take cats into their facility at all. Boyd County operates, Boyd County and Ashland operate much like Franklin County and the city of Frankfort do, in that Boyd County operates the shelter, the city of Ashland employs an additional animal control officer, and so that's what that 96,000 is. And then Nelson County, Barron County and Glasgow are another pair that operate much the same way. And I have all of those, reports either from the county or from their websites. So now, the Frankfort one is, the city of Frankfort is an old number because their animal control budget is not detailed in their budget. It's incorporated in their police budget, so it's just
But they went ahead and matched where we were, I believe, last year, correct?
They did. Now,
Okay.
historically, the city has paid more than the county, up until 2 years ago, I think it was. And so that's where they are. So I can't tell you for sure what that actual number is. It's the only municipality that required that I do an open records request for public information. So
That's what's going on.
anyway, but that's what that information is because I know, in particular, Squire Sebastian, you had said, well, what are other counties doing? And so we thought this would be helpful as an idea of what they're doing. I know there have been some questions and comments about the use of the resources that we receive from the city and county. In particular, some questions about how that money is applied to our spay-neuter program. That program is completely self-sufficient. We get grant funding from Bluegrass Area Development District. We have private funding for that. And then our fees are enough to cover that. So, as you all know, because of the spay-neuter grant, that counties that apply for those funds are only eligible for them if they require that the animals that they put up for adoption are spayed and neutered. So that money is, and we match those funds. We don't actually ask the county to match those funds. The Humane Society matches them. About a third of our funding comes from our thrift store. So none of the money that is provided to us by the court or the city goes to the operations of our new Leash on Life thrift store. And they generate, they're currently generating about $200,000 a year. as I said, what we are looking at is a situation where our donors, who are, the vast majority are residents of Franklin County, are subsidizing what we believe is the responsibility of the court. We still believe that the rate that we're asking for is not the full amount that that it would cost the county to operate its own facility. The state requires that that facility be open 25 hours a week. You know, we have guidelines that we have to follow. We have licenses that we have to maintain. We have certifications we have to maintain. You know, those are all a part of just the cost of doing business. And our goal has been to reach an agreement and get to that amount, 110,000, with the CPI, and go back into a period where the contract continues to renew. We don't want to be here every year asking for money. We want very much to continue to do what we do, which we believe we do really, really well. As you all know, the new facility is an absolute beautiful facility. It is, if not the nicest, one of the nicest in the state. It is a facility that this court, although some of you were not part of that process, JW certainly was, Michael was, Sherry was, you all helped create. And, you know, I have become more involved in government since I've lived in Franklin County and been a part of this organization than I ever would have imagined in my life. And I spend an inordinate amount of time watching these meetings. And what I hear over and over again from both city and county officials is, we want nice things in Franklin County. You have a very nice thing down there on Companion Place. It is an exceptional facility. Please remember that we raised $4.5 million privately to pay for that facility with help from the city and county. Originally, our original ask was $1.6 million each from the city and county, with us contributing the other $1.6 million, possibly $2 million. At that time, that was 2018. So we were 2 years before the pandemic, and as you all, 6 years ago, the cost of doing business was very different than it is now. We're very proud of what we do. We're proud of the fact that we have, currently, we're operating with a 95% live release rate, which means that 95% of the animals that come into our facility leave alive and go onto homes, and that 5% is well above below the national numbers right now. Animal control facilities are drowning in animals in this country. So, you know, just today we took in 2 dogs from a resident of the Simon House. You know, we provide services to people who are unhoused in this community. We provide services to people who, the vast majority of our clients are folks who are not afforded the security that most of us in this room have. So.
All righty, go ahead, Squirrel.
Carrie, if I could just ask you several questions, since you've already stated some things here, but let me first sort of just mention that, you know, the county, in your numbers reported here, had 257 animals, which breaks down for our allotment that we budgeted for this current year as $278 per animal. You have that a canine average cost per day is $316.50. So already, in my mind, at a minimum, we're off-putting cost of the county's business onto private donations. And thank God we have a community who really steps up and meets the challenge all the time. The thrift store alone, you know, bringing in a significant portion of your all's income, that we can have a really high-class, first-class establishment that I'm proud that we developed. And, you know, when I was at the city, I was pushing for the initiative and said at that point, I'd been hearing this request and this talk for 25 years, since I was in middle school, volunteering at the Humane Society, this talk about a need for a facility, and we finally built one. And I never thought we'd be back at having conversation about, not meeting the minimum to maintain the operation of that facility, but hopefully we'll take care of that here. Could you just reiterate the request that you all made to us? And I apologize that didn't come to this full body for consideration yet. But could you reiterate what those costs actually go to in terms of your operations, that total allocation request? And let's also reiterate that unlike even some of the other entities that are going to present tonight, this is a contract, a financial contract for services between the fiscal court and a private entity. That doesn't stand in almost any other instance except for maybe the elderly center or the senior citizen center. Could you just walk us through, maybe so I and everybody that may be listening understands exactly what the request is and what those amounts are going to pay for?
Right, so one of the other pieces of information I provided was the cost of care, and then the cost of care with our payroll. We currently employ at the Humane Society 8 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees. Our census today is 175 animals. That includes, and some of you may have seen in the news last week, we took in 7 dogs on a bite quarantine alone. Those are a little different than a stray hold. In other words, we have to hold them for 10 days. There are some other restrictions on how we hold those animals. That is almost an entire kennel space for us right now. At intake, all of the animals, of course, are examined. We do vaccinate, basic vaccinations at intake, and that is about disease control, because we can't have unvaccinated animals coming in and potentially being exposed to something. Imagine how you would feel if your dog came to the shelter and you took it home and 3 days later it had kennel cough. That's just not how we operate. We deworm them. We provide flea and tick treatment, because oftentimes they come in infested with fleas and or ticks. That is just a basic standard of what that involves. It's a little bit less for cats than it is for dogs, because cats don't require that second vaccination. And then, of course, every animal in the state of Kentucky, dog or cat, over the age of 4 months has to be vaccinated for rabies. So that's incorporated in this as well. And once they become, under our care, we have a responsibility to provide that. And we have 2 shelter veterinarians. They're contract veterinarians, come in twice a week, that take care of the rabies vaccination, which has to be given by a veterinarian, and they also do, care. We also have an agreement with a veterinarian who does other things beyond just the basics and spay neuter, and we have an agreement with them that affords us significantly discounted shelter pricing. And they're also, if I call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and say, I have a dog that just came in that was hit by a car, it's already on its way. They have made themselves available to us in that way. Right now, our average length of stay for a dog is 21 days, which is well below the national average right now. And for cats, it's about 18 days, which again is incredibly low. We have at times historically had length of stays in excess of 100 days. Now, sometimes what pushes that up are things like court cases, which we've been through, large court cases, going back, in my memory anyway, as far back as the Coy case, which was over 60 animals, Backwoods Pets, which was the pet store, which is over 200 animals, and we have, the one case that's still in the court system right now, but all of those animals have been homed or moved on. So I don't know, does that answer your question?
Mostly, but just to confirm what you've already said, the new lease on life, just some misconceptions I've heard in the community. I thought it's a good opportunity to clear up, right? none of the city or county's funds are going to operate the thrift store in terms of the utilities, the rent of the building, or the operations of the salary of the few people that are paid, correct?
No, in our monthly financial report, our budget is broken down, our financial report is broken down by operations. And so spay neuter is considered its own, the shelter, and New Leash on Life. New Leash on Life operates with a net revenue after paying the manager, the utilities, the rent, insurance, everything. Right now, they're operating at a little over $200,000 a year in net revenue. And it also provides a service to this community because we are, we assist all of the agencies in town. If there's somebody who is moving into an apartment and needs supplies, things, those things are always offered to them in every case. They work a lot with Salvation Army, with Simon House, with the men's shelter, as do we. Somebody in those situations has an animal and they need to hang on to it, we take those animals. Dog came in last night at 11:30 last night because its owner is currently incarcerated. That's what we do.
So just, I like to break things down really simply so that people that pick out the sound bites, right? So the thrift store operates and pays its own
Yes.
everything.
It is completely self-sufficient and
Except
provides the Humane Society with about $200,000.
It only has one paid operator, to my understanding.
Correct.
And everyone else, which are dozens and dozens of people, are
Yeah.
all volunteers to that facility.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've just heard that.
They average about 1,200 volunteer hours a month to operate that facility, so,
All right, I'm gonna give Squire Sebastian a chance. She's had her hand up.
Thank you, Judge. And thank you very much, thank you all for coming, thank you for the information. So at the last meeting, I had asked our county attorney to talk to us in regard to what the statute says, that the county responsibility. Do you have that tonight, and can you share that, just so we can balance everything that we're hearing, so that we hear everything that we need to be responsible for, and factor that in with the information that you're sharing too?
Well, and I think she's elaborated on several of those points. Required to have, a 7-day hold when you get an animal. Required to have an animal control officer. So those are in 24-hour surveillance facility is,
required to operate 25 hours a week, be open to the public 25 hours a week,
so
24, 25.
so that's what you're looking at as far as what's required.
And the terminology in the statute is it animal care, is it animal control, is it
I
animal?
think it's deemed control, not necessarily care.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you. I'm just trying to make sure I understand. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
And
All
the
right.
Department of Ag has a Animal Care and Control Advisory Board that guides communities in their operations. And then we're
I think
also under the jurisdiction of the Kentucky Board of Veterinary Examiners.
Okay. Well, we got some things to discuss, but I know we have other people here to present, so,
Judge, I've got just a few other questions.
okay.
Sorry. Carrie, could you reiterate for us the term of stay, the average length of stay right now for animals? I've heard that, I just want to go after some of these rumors in the community and straighten some things out once and for all, because I hear some rumors that you will keep animals for 2 years at a time, and I don't think that's, quite the case, maybe on certain cases, but.
You said dogs 21 days, cats 18 days, right?
Correct.
Confiscated, then we have to keep them if it's a
Yeah.
court case.
Right, if it's a court case and things, it's.
Now, if it's a court case, then we have to hold that animal, and the way the current contract is written is that there's no additional cost to the county for that unless we exceed, and I think it's vague language, I think it says, unless there's an exceptional number of animals. We've defined that in our contract with the city as more than 5. But we're at the mercy of the courts in how those cases are adjudicated. I mean, we're no longer holding the animals from the Adams Lane case from 2020 and 2022 because the county attorney and then the Commonwealth's attorney worked very hard to get them released to us as quickly as they possibly could. But that was 38 dogs the first time and 14 the second time. 38 dogs required us to completely clear that old facility in order to make space for those dogs. In that case, then there is a per diem that kicks in, which is $10 a day for a dog and $5 a day for a cat. And then I think there have been 2 instances since I've been here that we've billed the county for any additional services. So.
All right, we good?
I just want to say thank you. I think it's time that we needed to have a renegotiation. We have a facility we can all be proud of, and I think we're getting a fantastic discount, frankly, for what we're getting. And it's very obvious to me, at least in reading your numbers and seeing presentations and conversating with some of the board members, that truly the donors of this community are supporting a facility that we need to be supporting, because our actions are, as a county anyway, as a county government, our actions are putting an undue burden that isn't sustainable on the Humane Society, and making everyone that's volunteering, thankfully, giving their time, work a lot harder to meet that deficit. Can you just speak to exactly what or how the additional $36,000 came upon? I understand that has been a discussion of your board to the value that makes you all effectively solvent for the amount of operations that you're providing for the city and the county. Am I right in that understanding?
Carrie, I mean, ultimately, the 36 is what the board came up with,
Yes,
right?
because
So-
when I first started, we were paying people $8 an hour. We still don't start people at what is considered a living wage in Franklin County. But we do offer, a better starting pay. It's actually $12 an hour now. And we've worked very intentionally to move that up as quickly as we can. So a big part of it is in what we are able to pay our employees and what we're able to offer them. It's not glamorous work. They are not there, to get rich, but you'd be surprised how many of them have made a career out of it and are, and they are very, very dedicated to their work. The other part of that is that we don't expect that the thrift store is going to be able to improve its revenue more than it had. I mean, the fact that it's where it is now is really phenomenal, and is in large part due to the volunteers and our thrift store manager, Jody Spalding, who's done an exceptional job down there. But we want to make sure that our organization remains financially stable for the future. Some of us are not getting any younger. Sam retired. I am well into my 60s and will be following him before too long. And I believe, have been exceptional stewards of the resources that this community, this court, the city have provided us, and we want to be able to continue to do that. But we do believe that it's not an equitable relationship at this point, and we need it to be so that we can continue to do that.
Just one other thing, just quickly, Judge, if I could. There's this discussion point going around that there was a presentation made to the city and the county at the time about building the new facility, that a number was presented, and something was said to the effect that if you all fund at this level, we won't come back and ask for any increases. It was my understanding that that request was $1.6 million per entity, and each entity only funded at $1 million. Could you just elaborate a little bit on what that statement was and how that affected?
That is my recollection, that the question put to Sam Marcus at the time was, are you going to ask for what about an increase in funding? And keep in mind, this conversation, as I recall it, was around 2018, 2019, I don't
It
recall
was
exactly.
19, I remember specifically.
Okay, so 2019, there's been some reference to a video. I've not been able to access that, so I can't say for certain, but my understanding and my recollection is that what Sam's response was, if you fully fund the request, then we will make every effort not to increase our fees. But, there's some things that are just simply out of our control. At the time, the county actually did not give us $1 million. They gave us $800,000, and the city gave us $1 million. And then we did come back and ask for additional funding, which the county did provide. And at that time, it was our understanding that the city and county were going to manage the road construction. Keep in mind, at that time, we were also still looking at the property adjacent to Capitol View Park. And
On the connector.
it became obvious that that property was untenable to develop in the way that we needed to develop it. The city was gracious enough to afford us the property off of Flynn Avenue. But we still ended up spending about $385,000 on a road that may or may not be a city street.
Well, on that note,
So,
alrighty, well, we.
thank you all. I appreciate
Yep,
your time.
Thank you very
and
much
your
for coming
interest.
tonight.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
And
coming in.
I hope that if you have not visited the new facility, that you will please do so. I know Richard has been there, and Eric's been there, Michael has been there, I think Jack and Stephanie have been there, Kelly's been there.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen you up there, that doesn't mean you haven't been there, but please come by and see it.
Sherry's been.
Sherry's been, okay. And know that it has caught the attention of several other counties in the state. Meade County, Mercer County, Oldham County, Jefferson County have all come to see us about what we're doing, and now we're expecting some folks from out east to start coming by this fall and looking at what we're doing and trying to model what we are doing, so.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Did you have something, Bart?
I got two things. One of them I want to take issue with one thing you said. Because might be in your 60s, don't mean anything about retirement.
Well,
Alrighty,
I
thank you,
can tell
Terry.
you from experience, forget it. Just keep right on going.
thank you
Alrighty,
all.
thank you, guys. Alrighty, next I believe we're gonna switch it up a little bit, and Ms. Kelly's gonna talk to us from Thornhill Education Center.
Kelly Anderson, Executive Director at Thornhill Education Center. I apologize for my $4 Dollar General glasses because my dog, Chance, ate my prescription glasses this morning. So if I'm looking at you funny or I fall down, these are 1.75s, not sure what's going to happen. Wanted to just let you know that, sorry, it's not, stop. So in 2017, I came to Frankfurt as an instructor in the jail and at Thornhill Education Center. And 3 years ago, I took over as executive director. Thought it would be an interim position, but obviously someone has not fired me yet. When I got there, all we did was GED and ESL. That was it. Okay, we did a lot of it, we did it successfully, we did it, and we were in the top 10 in the entire state. We were very successful in the jail, as we still are. KYAE, Kentucky Adult Education, suggests that we are in the jail at least 10 hours a week. We try and double, if not triple that, because of the population in the jail. Generally speaking, you can get a GED or some sort of certification from 30% of the inmates. We have continued with our GED journey. We have continued in the jail. We now have a population of over 40 people with ESL. We talked to K-State today, and we're going to be integrating their ESL program with our ESL program to even provide more strength. We have also talked to Dr. Acapo, I always say it wrong, Acapo, with citizens of Franklin County. If they receive a high school diploma, they can go to K-State free of charge. I sat down with him and I said, okay, what about a GED? And he said to me that he thought that K-State would make that happen. So that is massive progress for our students. We have a family literacy program which we received a grant from the NCFL, National Center for Family Learning, which I did not know existed until the judge executive decided to introduce me to the CEO, Dr. Felicia Smith Cummings. No, it's Cummings Smith, sorry.
Cummings Smith, correct.
Opposite way. Since then, we have been on a one-year journey to become the first in the country as a family learning community. This is well on its way. We're in the final stages of making this happen. You're sitting there going, what in the heck is that? What that is leveraging all our different organizations to work together for the common goal. Our common goal are the people of Franklin County and of Frankfurt. We are here to make things better for them with education. We also offer what's called IET, Integrated Educational Training, which we can now teach for them to get their peer support specialist, their para-educator. We also are home to a lot of, we're top of the hill, top of that hill. You've been there. We do a lot of things. We've got a lot of people in this building. The one that keeps me the busiest and on my toes is obviously the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation. They take up the entire basement, which the fiscal court in previous years has helped because we used grant money from the fiscal court to improve to replace our air conditioning and heating units, not only in the basement, but also in the gymnasium, which you all probably have been in that facility. We also have the Bluegrass Theater Guild in there. They do a lot of their rehearsals. We also have Grace Awakening Church that is now on the stage. We have the garden in the back. We have food boxes every 2 weeks from locals. We participate in that program. And we have also expanded our hours by over 5 hours per week. And now we have a by appointment only on Saturdays and Sundays. All of our employees are we have 3 full-time employees, the rest are part-time. We also are the first in the county, in the city, that offer Narcotics Anonymous twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we offer, because of Amy and the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation, Al-Anon and Alateen on Thursday nights. Oh, and we do God's Pantry Pizza. Oh, there we go. So
on Thursday night.
On Thursday night, they go and they get, the senior center brings the pizza to Thornhill. It goes to all of the students that are in there. We kind of track how many students we get a year and also just people that come in. We are a warming and cooling facility. There is continuous, the other thing, we are Franklin County's, we are the home to Franklin County's IOP program. So they are in there from 9 to 1 every day, and those are students of Franklin County.
And the Innovation Center now too, right?
Yes, the Innovation Center is now in there as well, and the Innovation Center just received a $75,000 grant to start a drone program for children, for middle schoolers. But we are going to expand that because it is an official certification, and I believe it's FA 107 is what they're going to be teaching, because this realm of drones are becoming a massive thing in this society. We are very excited about the jail adding the SAP and SOAR program, which that will increase our numbers. Our primary grant funder is Kentucky Adult Education, and that's under workforce development. We do everything we can possibly do for students. We still offer free transportation. We still offer free childcare. We have Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation, where they have actually, one of their employees came in on a Saturday and watched a woman's child so she could take 2 GED tests. We will go the extra mile. I am an absolute, why not? I will always be like that. It might get me in trouble sometimes, but I am a yes. If we can help people, we are going to help people. If we will find a way. We have had a great relationship with everybody in the community, and I'm telling you, I lived in Richmond for, how old am I? Not 60 yet. I lived in Richmond for 32 years. I now live in Frankfurt, and the things that are going on in this community, in this county, are above and beyond what is going on, what I see in Madison County. The one criticism I have, and Amy and I talked about, there's too much to do. Like, you got to pick and choose. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. There's a lot to do in this county. As you can tell, I'm a little bit like a rat on acid. I apologize. Our mission, and my mission since taking over as executive director, was to change and not just be Thornhill Education Center, but be Thornhill Community Center, where you can get whatever you need. You can get education, you can get food, you can get help, you can be supported. And one of my big things I always tell everyone is welcome at Thornhill, regardless of who you are. We had an individual that was homeless, came in to cool off. No one said an ill word about this woman. We just came, helped, and we get a lot of brand new donations from people, so we were able to give her some socks, some shoes, a couple t-shirts, and then give her some food. So the bottom line is Thornhill will continue to be where people can come, we will serve people, and we will always do what is right. And we're excited that we are presenting at the National Center for Family Learning Convention this year in Louisville. And we are so excited to be the first. And this was due to you with that one introduction. We are the first in the country as the NCFL's first family learning community. Questions? I told you I'd be quick.
Any questions for Kelly on all the good things that Thornhill's doing for our community?
No, I just want to say thank you. I love everything you all do. You're phenomenal, and I love your energy. It's awesome.
We do have Friendsgiving. I will make this announcement. We do have Friendsgiving. Do you want me to maybe say what we're trying to do or no? No, okay. It'll be a recognition of an individual. How about that? On October 30th, Friendsgiving, that is where all the restaurants in Frankfurt donate food. I know a lot of you have been to it. It is basically the most gluttonous buffet you've ever been to. And we invite you out to that. That's 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And we hope to see you there. And if anyone's interested in buying the 1918 Jaguar replica car, just hit me up. That's our next fundraiser.
Very cool.
All right?
Kelly, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I just want to say thank you too, Kelly. You all signed on to a recent grant application we have for composting that I hope is going to expand that community garden operations even more. And
Yes.
you all are always at the forefront of finding grant opportunities and bringing them about to the public. So I think that's an incredible service beyond what you're already doing.
Thank you.
And I want to say, I said I might be 60.
I didn't say you were. I think the judge did.
All right, Kelly, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. All righty, I believe next Amy's up.
All right. I have a couple of slides I believe Andrew's going to share. If you'll remember, just a quick 24 months ago, we had 0 staff and we had no office. So I'm excited to be here tonight to be able to share an update. Andrew, you can go on to our next slide. I wanted to review super quick our programs because what I'm finding out is people in the community really don't know what all we do. And I just wanted to show this picture of everyone that's involved with us. This is a picture of our board, our staff, our contract staff, part-time staff, our finance committee, our advisory council. Altogether, there's about 40 people helping to lead our organization. Our original Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention grant provided funding for 4 positions. My position, our Amachi staff position, our social worker in the jail who's here tonight, and a director of development. That person's role is the development of our programs, ensuring evidence-based curriculum, measurable outcomes, our grant reporting, all the fun stuff. This grant also covers the cost of our parenting class instructors in the jail, a part-time office assistant, and our video visitation coordinator. Our second grant through the Kentucky Department of Juvenile Justice, it's a 12-month grant. We've applied for a renewal. It provides for 2 part-time program coordinators on our teen outreach team, our middle school and high school programs. Third grant, we're a sub-awardee of a 5-year SAMHSA grant through Yes Arts. It's a prevention framework, something we're super excited about. There's a lot involved there. This grant required as part of the application that you name a data analyst, and Elizabeth Troublehorn was the only one smart enough to do it, and she loves it, so she's the data analyst. And we were able to bring in soon-to-be Dr. Quee Smith, who ran the psychology department at Kentucky State University, as our director of development. This grant also provides Rebecca Redding, our director of marketing. We have her 75% of the week, 25% of the week she's with Just Say Yes program. It also provides 0.25% of my salary in an executive director role, which loosened up some of the funds with our original grant. All of our staff, with the exception of our bookkeeper, are grant-funded positions. To put this in context, we're here at the 2-year mark of a 3-year grant. So we have 12 months left of our first original 4 positions. We fully intend to write for an expansion of that grant, which we can direct apply for. That's something we've talked about with our grant administrator. We feel great about it, but of course nothing's guaranteed. So we are looking for additional grants to sustain our staff. Looking forward, we are the recipient of a state opioid abatement grant that will fund 1 staff position. It's titled Prevention Specialist. But this person will work with juveniles in Franklin County actively using opioids. We have identified 15 to 20 youth. They'll also work with youth who are greatly at risk of using opioids. Just yesterday, I was with the Administrative Office of Courts. They had a recovery symposium, and I shared about this, and this is really groundbreaking for the state that a nonprofit would offer direct services like that to adolescents in our county. We also have 2 grant applications submitted that we'll hear about the end of this month. That would expand our Amachi mentoring program with a second staff. And just to kind of explain that, we are at 39 matches, and I feel like we're probably going to cut it at 50 because only 1 person can manage about 50 matches. So I'm hoping that funding comes through because we provide that direct match support with all parties involved. That second grant that we applied for would also expand some of our services support in the jail. All right, to provide a current update regarding where we are with our OJJDP grant. If you'll go to the next slide. The 3 objectives of that grant, obviously, were to work with incarcerated parents, supporting the needs of their minor children. The second objective was to provide a 1-to-1 mentoring program. The third was to provide positive youth development programs for youth. So our Amachi of Frankfurt program, Trina Schimmeler is absolutely amazing. It took a while this was an area that I was slow to move forward on because we're responsible for these matches. We use a best practice manual from the federal government. We're not 100% on everything yet, but we are working to do our due diligence on that. But Trina does an amazing job with our matches. I will recognize Judge and also Tammy West are two of our mentors. We provide monthly mentor support and training. Next slide, please. I wanted to show pictures tonight because I want you to see their faces. These are people we're working with. Our middle and high school youth, the hiring of the 2 part-time coordinators, Raven and Tisa, was essential to actually just building the infrastructure of this program. We also have 2 youth advocates who one of those positions is funded through Fiscal Court. We have about more than 50 youth that we meet with outside of school. The vision of this program is really that we'll have about 20 youth advocates because we know that there's more than 200 8th through 12th graders who are impacted by incarceration in Frankfort. And so a youth advocate has a caseload of 12 to 15 kids. Essentially, they're a paid mentor. They're constantly calling, texting, keeping up with the kids, communicating with their parents. And then we get together for a large group meeting once a month. We use an evidence-based positive youth development curriculum, so there's actual content of what we're doing. I want to just share a quick story here. We have a young man when he was in middle school, all Fs, fighting on the road to being involved in the juvenile justice system, did not get along with his mother, hated his father. We fought a huge battle for him to become a part of the gifted and talented program in school. Now, he's a junior in high school, honor roll student, football player. He is in the BCTC dual credit program. He will graduate with his associate's degree. He will be the first in his family to ever have a college degree. He is taking the SAT in October. He plans to go to college out of state and play football. And his father is getting ready to be in re-entry, and he has a plan for that, of setting boundaries and how to move forward with their relationship. So I share that because this is life-changing. We're truly breaking some generational curses. I'm not saying that we're special, I'm saying that the work that we're doing is special. Wanda Joyce, Robinson Foundation, we're not just a one-to-one mentoring program. We're not just big brothers, big sisters. We're not just offering a middle and high school after-school program. We're not just offering a massive school-based program where more than 350 kids attend weekly for social emotional learning, pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. And that program, under the direction of Quee Smith, the curriculum a new curriculum, she is writing a new curriculum. It will roll out in January, and there's discussion of that being moved across the state to other school districts. We're not just supporting incarcerated parents and a re-entry support. We aren't just offering a scholarship program for graduating seniors. That's a $1,000 award. Today we've awarded 14. It's renewable for up to 3 additional years. And we're not just doing just that. We're not just working with community partners and doing food distribution and basic needs support and family literacy. We're doing all of that. We're not just doing, with the Just Say Yes program, offering $400 yes cards to all of our kids so that they can become involved in extracurricular activities. We're doing all of those things within 24 months. What we have going on is special. Kelly was talking about that. My staff is an amazing team. Our community partners are amazing. What is a whole other presentation, which you've probably met with Amelia Berry from Just Say Yes, but she gathers the fresh local data from our Franklin County Youth Survey. That's amazing, rich information for grant writing. We just presented at a statewide annual conference Monday, Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, with the annual Kids Are Worth It conference. Our session was a double room and it was packed. We asked the question, this is a statewide conference, we asked the question, how many of you are offering programs to kids in your community that have incarcerated parents? 2 Frisky coordinators from Anderson County raised their hand because they do Crush, because we helped them start Crush. And a lady from Louisville raised her hand and said that she supports parents in reentry, not the kids. That was it. So that was just very telling to me what we have across the state. Next slide, please. Our work within the jail, Quee and Debbie and I have met with Jailer Hopper and her team. We feel good about the transition. We're continuing to meet with parents. We're continuing to offer parenting classes. We have a men's class that is active right now. They mentioned the expansion with the SOAR program with the women. We're excited about being a part of that. My biggest excitement here is we are going to start what's called 4-H Life in the jail. And I want to explain it all, but I really don't have time. But the short part of that is our 4-H associate will be able to meet with parents in the jail. It will run like a 4-H meeting. They'll learn civic engagement. But the content, they will learn positive youth development concepts. So for example, they'll talk about confidence. How do you speak to your child about confidence? I need that class as a parent. When a visit occurs, the parent will actually do activities with their child about confidence. So this is real work that we're doing. Let's see, I also wanted to show here, we have started a reentry support group for men. This was a grant that Quee wrote through a fatherhood initiative. Our very first gathering, we went bowling. We had 6 men and 19 children. I don't think that's happening anywhere in Kentucky. And this group meets every other Monday. They continue to meet. A couple of them were trained in the Parent Cafe model. They lead father cafes. A group of men get together and talk about being a dad. All right, so where are we currently? First, I want to inform you that we have a financial page on our website. We want to be transparent about our finances. We aren't rolling in the dough because we have some grants. We don't have a ton of major gift donors. You can find information on our website. Our operating budget, the cost of doing business, not our staff, not our programs, is about $60,000. This is insurance, this is accounting, this is printing, this is taxes, all the fun stuff. What we have put in place, what our board has put in place, it's called a sustainer program. It's a commitment of $300 a year for 5 years. It's $25 a month. We need 200 sustainers to take care of this part of our budget. We currently have 26. So I just want to put a quick plug in. Next Thursday, we are having a lunch and learn at the Foundry. You can register for that on our website or just call us. And there'll be information about the Sustainer program as well as our funding needs for sponsorship goals for 2025. Where are we currently in terms of kids? This school year, unfortunately, our numbers are the same. We continue to have more than 800 children in Frankfort impacted by incarceration. We are literally talking about Western Hills High School. And I want you to think about that. I'm a Western Hills graduate. Western Hills has about 880 kids, students. So we're literally talking about walking through the hallways and every single student has an incarcerated parent. And I'm not trying to share a bleak image, but I want to be realistic because we know kids impacted by incarceration have multiple adverse childhood experiences. They're living in poverty. They're dealing with substance use situations. There's abuse and neglect. There's major trauma. So one of my biggest takeaways from the conference, the Department of Public Health had a presentation, and their entire point was the mitigator of adverse childhood experiences is increasing positive childhood experience. It's really common sense. Like, do they really need to research that? But that's exactly what we do. It's the mentoring. I just listed them. It's the mentoring. It's the extracurricular sponsorship. It's figuring out the transportation to get the kid there to see if they want to be a part of that. It's all filling in all those gaps. It's the social emotional support that we provide. The state is actually expanding mandated reporting of child abuse and neglect to what's referred to as mandated supporting. And what's interesting is there's not a model for that. One of the sessions I attended, UK was presenting, and it was actually a research study because they wanted everyone in the room to put on paper what does mandated supporting look like. It looks like Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation. That's exactly a big component of it. What I want for our organization, we're ready to do a deeper dive. The kids and families we're working with, what I consider, they're low-hanging fruit. We're offering programs. This is who wants to be involved. We're ready to go to the next level. And that's going to involve some tougher conversations with our families, with our kids, and with our community. I call it going to the messy. And we're just ready for it. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and do it. So Charles Kendall is really way more qualified than me to talk about this. But the term is upstream prevention work. We're ready to do that type of work. And what I'm saying to you is we need a Boys and Girls Club in Frankfort. Frankfort is only one of 2 state capitals in the entire country that does not have a Boys and Girls Club. And I know some people aren't aware of what that is. Please come talk to me. I'll let you know what a Boys and Girls Club of America is. But it's a place for kids to come to after school and during the summer. They have a healthy, safe, supportive, nurturing environment that helps them dream about what their great future is. That's the motto, great futures start here. And so we have a committed team. We have competent people at the table. What we need to do is just make it happen. And this is a conversation that, for me, started last October. I received a phone call that connected me to someone in Western Kentucky, and we have gone through several conversations. We've surveyed, we've met with people. We just need to come to the table and figure out how we're going to do this. I'm a team player. I want all of us to be successful, to thrive. I didn't really come here tonight to ruffle any type of feathers. I certainly did not know the Humane Society was presenting tonight. I had no idea what the agenda is. I have something to say. We have more than 800 kids impacted by incarceration. They need a place to go to after school. We don't have 800 dogs in the Humane Society. We don't have 800 cats in the Humane Society. I'm a dog lover. I have 2 dogs that sleep in the bed with me every night. I don't love them more than my 3 girls. And my Wanda Joyce kids are my kids. I know their birthday. I know their favorite color. And I need you all I need them to be your kids. I need them to be your kids. And if we can raise $4 million for a place for animals to go, we can raise $4 million for my kids to go. And that's what I have to say tonight. I need your help. I need your expertise. I need your knowledge. I need your connections. I don't like going to sleep at night knowing that my kids need a place to go to. And we gotta make it happen. That's where we are.
Amy, thank you very much.
Thank
Y'all
you.
doing spectacular work. I think everybody in the court here realizes that, but I think this is a kind of a wake-up call that we do need to help you all some more. You know, I mean, there's a lot going on in this whole community. But I think with the Boys and Girls Club and starting to get some momentum, I think we need to have some more conversations to figure out how we can help you all more. So I appreciate everything you all do. You know that. We talk all the time. I mean, the grants you've gotten, I mean, I went to DC with Elizabeth that time. You know, it's an eye-opening, even for the nation, things right here in Frankfurt. So what questions does the court have for Amy? I mean, I know we can sit here and probably talk all night on this topic, and we'll talk as long as you all want to.
She's not allowed to come back in because every time she comes in, I cry. So we're just not allowed to do that anymore. I'm totally kidding, Amy. You all do the most amazing work I've ever seen. And I sincerely have never in my life seen so many women work so hard. I mean, it's really incredible. So thank you for what you do. And you know, we talk all the time about how we have to balance things, and without programs like yours, we cannot have a healthy community. We just can't. These kids are growing up, and we can either do something about what's going on with them now, or they'll end up in the jail. And so we have to do something, and I promise I will do everything I can. Thank you.
I just want to say, I have those kids in my classroom. I probably got about 38 right now. I see them every day. I see the work that you do. I see the work that the people that are associated with one, the Joyce Robinson Foundation does. Every day it's something that hits them and attacks them that we can't even begin to imagine. It's hard for me as a dad to see the things that I see and wonder if my daughters went through some of the things that these kids go through, how they would react, and I can't even imagine. I totally agree with you. You know, I was in the beginning of, I was on a task force of folks that worked for figuring out the direction for the Humane Society. And one thing that I always told them is these animals in our community deserve to be treated well, but they don't deserve to be treated better than our children in our community. I agree with you 100%, and I thank you for all that you do.
How can we, go ahead, Squire.
I was just
I'm
going
sorry.
to,
Yeah.
I apologize, Judge.
Don't apologize. Go ahead. I didn't see you. Go ahead, Squire.
Thank you,
Yep.
thank you, Judge.
Perfect.
You know, I appreciate you coming, and this is going to make me also have great pause with the work that you do and with what the Senior Center does. Because I try to put my hands to a lot of things, and the good thing is I can put it to the full gambit, children to seniors. And when I put my hands to it, my heart is there too. And so when you have that, you have a tremendous amount of commitment from all of the volunteers that you are bringing in. But it does take more than the people who serve their hearts up on the plate. And so you putting a face to that, to this body, is very important. And I appreciate and appreciate you coming and showing the depth of need and the breadth of the program from its extremely humble beginnings to where it is just ready to springboard and blossom so that other communities can come in and say, how, because it really is, how did you do so much in such a short period of time? Because it's nothing less than amazing for anybody who's been there to see it. Well, I thank you for that.
Squire Wisdom.
Amy, I want to thank you and everyone that's been working in this capacity. I mean, no one gets paid enough, no one has enough time in their day to volunteer. But I know you all know, but you're changing not only these children's lives and their parents' lives, I think it's going to be multifold, multi-generational. We're going to see the impacts in this community. And I thought years ago, and I remember having some conversations about if we could just partner every child in this community, we're a small enough community to do it, to partner them with a mentor that can give them alternative pathways forward in their life, that we would see drastic change within a decade that will last forever. So I'm so appreciative of what you all are doing. And I think it's going to just blossom into a greater program that's going to be replicated far beyond our little capital city. So I'm excited about what the future holds. My question, I suppose, for the immediacy is that in a week and a half, we start the SAP and SOAR program. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on, because those females that are going to come in for that program are going to be from kind of all over the state, right? I'm wondering if you put any thought into how we can serve those folks that are not necessarily going to be home-based here and their children aren't going to be here, because I would sincerely like to see that be part of that program.
So we're having those discussions as well. We have monthly meetings with our federal administrator, and she is willing for us to open and adjust and modify however we need to, based on what we're working with, because it is 2 years later than, actually 3 years from when we wrote the grant. So we are willing to morph and change however we need to.
Fantastic.
That we can provide our women's parenting class to them and potentially the parent cafes that we were leading.
I really hope, let me just speak to something broader here. I understand KCO is making jail funding one of their primary objectives this year, because these jails are nearly bankrupting every county. We need more funding, and I think it is burdened upon this court as the capital city to come up with some solutions or some recommendations to take to the state, because I believe that not only should we get a stipend from the state for inmates that we house in our county that is increased, but I think there also needs to be some funding directly associated with those prisoners for other services, for family services that need to be part of the conversation, because we're seeing the problems in every single community across the state and the whole nation, of course, and we can't pay for the jails and keep those facilities operational, much less try to meet the need about true reentry and whatever rehabilitation we want to do. So it's got to be a conversation. I think you all are going to be important in that conversation with the state this next fiscal year about taking a more holistic approach to just warehousing people, which I've always hated. So hopefully we can, maybe it'll be even broader. Maybe we can make a bigger impact nationwide and starting here.
So Amy, in closing, our call to action is you need help with the Boys and Girls Club. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yes.
I see a couple heads nodding, so, okay.
Yes,
So
that's what I need
we'll
help
get
with.
together and figure that out, and we'll help get done. We've been to a couple meetings, and things like that, but I probably need to circle back with you, and we'll help you.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Thank you again.
Thank you, Amy.
Yep. Next?
I'm back.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
good. That's
everybody.
good. We love seeing you. Go ahead and tell everybody on TV land who you are.
Marshall Jenkins, I'm the Executive Director of Capital City Activity Center, which is...
Best in the state?
Yes, sir. Which is the senior center here in Franklin County. Thank you all for having me. Just wanted to say I am in awe of the women that have come up here and have presented tonight. I mean, just hearing what everyone's doing, what I've said it a million times, what an awesome community Franklin County and the city of Frankfort, who we are. It just speaks to the greatness of what we represent in our community. And hats off to you guys. I mean, really, it's pretty amazing. So I'm in the senior world,
Anyone 50 and older is considered a senior.
Whoa, whoa,
I'm right there.
50 and
I'm in there
over.
too.
50 and over.
Yeah, take a step back.
Marcia, you said at a meeting at the library last week, what is that percentage now of our population
Yeah, I
in
was
our
getting
county?
ready to go.
Yeah.
Just curious, I always ask this when I come. Do you know what the percentage of the population are 50 and older for Franklin County?
18%.
What was it?
18%.
I'm going like 63.
It's actually over 38%.
Everybody I know.
So I can just say,
Well, she said.
I'm not going to
That's
say, I'm not going to say that the county is old. I'm going to say that the county is wise and mature. And we offer great education and, I don't know. We have goodness to offer to our younger generation, so that's awesome. So we provide all kinds of services, whether it's outreach, transportation. We are the Meals on Wheels for the county and city. We provide congregate lunches. We have health and nutrition and all kinds of education programs, exercise programs, helping with housing, helping secure different type of medical needs. We give out medical equipment. I don't know. We do anything senior. But I just want to bring something to your attention tonight. We have quite a few seniors that, along with Amy, seniors taking care of grandkids due to incarceration. And it's hard. And I understand what you're saying. There's all kinds of situations, whether you're dealing with the children or you're dealing with the senior that's having to take care of the children. There's so many different things that's going on there. Our food pantry is probably one of the largest in the county. Last year, we picked up over 180,000 pounds of food. We gave out over 7,200 food boxes. And we offer a shopping experience because I don't know what you like. I don't know what you are allergic to. So I wanted to start a food pantry that was a little different. Our food pantry has been recognized on the national level and received an award for that. So we're helping to help seniors take care of grandkids. A lot of them come through the food pantry every Friday to help sustain that grocery bill so they can purchase other things. They're not having to decide, can I eat or can I buy a prescription? Can I pay for utilities? Can I pay for my rent? You know, it's real life situation. With that being said, last year we delivered and served over 51,000 meals to the city and county residents, senior residents. We had a lot of different grant fundings last year. That has now ended. We did not know how that was going to affect us. Last year, the funding we received for nutrition was over $558,000. This year, we're going to receive $342,000 and change. Difference of $216,000 shortage. We have put pen to paper, and our estimated cost this year for meals is going to be around $540,000 to sustain this. So that's actually going to leave a shortage of over $198,000 to provide meals that just no additional people coming in needing meals. That's just to sustain what we are doing right now. Let me say this. It was mandated by the
Go ahead and say what you were going to say. I was just going to ask a question in a moment.
Okay.
it was mandated by the federal government and the state that we are to feed and service all seniors, no matter what. The funding was there. Now the funding is not there. The state cut funding for meals from 14 million last year to 10 million this year. We are in the bluegrass region, the largest region of the state. Just to sustain the amount of meals that we provided last year is already a shortfall for our region of over $1 million. My question is, well, it's not a question, it's going to be a statement. I don't understand this. The message continues to be feed, 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 no wait list. I'm proud to say that I've been at the center 11 years. We've never had a wait list. Kudos to Franklin County. That's not the norm. Pretty much everybody, and I can show you right now that I've received a wait list, that all the counties around us have a wait list. So what you're hearing from the state level that Kentucky does not have a wait list is just not true. We're getting ready to be forced to put Franklin County on a wait list. We are now serving 1,000 meals a month additional pre-COVID, because that was what was told for us to do. That was the right thing to do. The money was there. What do you want me to do now? Do I have to go to these people and say, I can't feed you? Everybody wanted to feed you, but they don't want to now, and that's pretty much what it is. I know we all need money. All of our organizations need a little something more. And I am a dog lover. I have 5 dogs. I don't have any cats. And it's not to say anything, like Amy said, I'm not here to ruffle anybody's feathers. It's just, these are people. And I don't think that I should have to go to them and say, we can't feed you anymore. Do you understand that this meal could be the only meal? And a lot of times, and I know many of you have been on meal delivery routes, and you have seen the circumstance that some of these folks are in. I would say the majority. They are at the poverty level. This could be the only visit, and it is a well check, and many need that. They don't have anybody. That is the only meal they have, and I know for a fact that some eat just a little bit and save it and eat it for dinner, because that's all they have. Now, do you expect me to have my staff go to these folks and say, we just can't feed you anymore? These are people that have served Franklin County, have worked here, and have contributed to this community. And we should not be turning our backs on them. We need help. That's all I can say. We need help.
Thank you. I'm going to let Squire Sebastian go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being here. So one of the things that I hope was not lost on the years of the court, when you so eloquently spoke about the need, was the funding is to sustain exactly where we are. And yet, when I'm in the facility, I see new people coming in and registering every day. And they're not registering for just themselves. They are registering possibly for a spouse, and many times for grandkids, because they've got them with them. I see them there. So what you're saying is we're sort of on, unfortunately, a sliding scale that's sliding the wrong way. Because right now, you have people in the program, yet you're having more people come in requesting the same services. So the number that you've quoted here tonight is going to grow. And so I just want to make sure that that's not lost on this body, that this number is moving in a negative direction.
And let me just say that we are in, the senior population's in the largest it's ever been in the history of the world. That is not going to plateau until 2050. So it's just, this is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow until that time. We cannot charge for these meals. The Older Americans Act explicitly says this is offered to any senior for meals 60 and older, and it makes no difference where you are economically. That is the federal law. And I will just say that I would venture to say 80% probably come because they just honestly can't afford to eat anywhere else. And I just want to give a big shout out to my staff and volunteers. Volunteers, we have almost 1,000 hours of volunteer hours a month. It's pretty amazing. The staff, I heard it said earlier, you know, it's, we're not paid an exorbitant amount of money. Nonprofits aren't. Understand that, and believe me, all of my staff does too. They're not there to make the big bucks. They're there because they have a servant's heart and they see the need of what needs to happen and advocate for seniors. And I just think it's amazing the job that they do, and I just want it to be said that it doesn't go unnoticed.
I have a question. The food pantry, is that through donations or y'all purchase that food?
Donations.
So that's all donations?
Occasionally, we will purchase food through a grant. We get some United Way funds for the food pantry. We have local donations that will come in for the food pantry. And sometimes food is purchased from God's Pantry because we can purchase certain items at a very reduced cost. And so that helps to keep some food on the shelves. But we don't purchase a lot.
Is the food pantry holding its own now? Are we getting enough donations through there to provide the food you need to provide?
No, it runs at a deficit of about $18,000 to $20,000.
A year, 18, 20,000 a year.
And we offset that through local funds, people that are donating, fundraisers, that type of thing.
Well, I can say a lot of things that I know, like I have rode on the truck, and I have seen the people who, and they're all neat, and everything you say is true from what I saw. And I usually was just in the way, but anyway, I went to learn and understand more. The other thing I've got to say is strictly what you said. Unfunded mandates are pathetic. And that's what comes right out of the state and the federal government all the time. They don't see this. They don't ride on the truck. If they did, maybe it would be funded. But maybe we all sitting here should do a better job of making sure they know what they're doing when they cut $4 million out of the program, and they probably need to put $6 million in it. And we've sat here tonight and we've heard they want $4 million. Dog needs a couple of million. You need at least 200,000. That's chicken feed. We got it. No worry. But we all know that it's tough stuff. It is tough.
Thank you, Squire. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. And one of the things that Amy alluded to, and that you have alluded to as well, there are a tremendous amount of volunteers that if you had to channel resources in your budget away to pay for the things that they do because they are required services, there would even be fewer dollars in these pots. And we talk about that at Finance Committee meetings. I'm on the Finance Committee there as well. And we talk about the unfortunate reallocation of funds. If individuals can stop volunteering and stop bringing in food and stop doing those things, because you see that happens. So this amount could grow in that regard if these were funded positions because they are providing required services.
That's right.
Squire Wisman.
Thanks, Judge. Thank you, Marcel, for everything you all do. I think the bigger conversation that I keep hearing time and time again is, I'm reminded that we have hungry people in this community. I remember during the pandemic, I said, we're not going to let anybody go hungry. We'll find the money somewhere, right? And I'll just reiterate that now. We'll find money somewhere. We won't do a capital project or otherwise to make sure everyone's fed, or at least that's where I stand. But it comes to mind, the state's sitting on $3.7 billion because they keep cutting programs and putting money in a rainy day fund with the idea that they're going to get rid of state income taxes, right? I mean, let's be clear. I think it's upon us, again, that we need to really have a tough talk as a body, not in committees, as a whole board, about what direction we want to go this year. The legislature convenes, in 3 months? And we need a lobbyist there every day working on our behalf. And we need to partner with other communities, lobbying hard to make sure we get those dollars. The largest surplus that we've ever had in the state's history, and claims about, all the good we're doing when our roads are failing, our people are hungry, our facilities aren't funded as they're mandated to be. This should not be, and the jails are bankrupting every county, this should not be a conversation that the local governments have to have about picking up the gap where the state and the federal government mandate that we do something and then they don't fund it, as you said. So I think, one, I'd like to convene. We hired a lobbyist last year and we didn't have a conversation about what we wanted that lobbyist to go talk about with our folks. So I hope that, in the next 2 months, we can look at hiring somebody and we can set goals and priorities as a body together. Again, not in committees, as a whole body. I want to have a public community conversation. I've been wanting to hear some of these organizations, and I suppose it's nice to have everyone together tonight, but I don't want to pit one organization against another for funding, and I don't want to say that, one organization's request for funding to keep them solvent comes before another. Everything comes together, and we have to figure out how best to fund all of these needs. But the bigger need is that our state needs to start ponying up more money for the programs that they make sure that we, or mandate that we have. So, Marcia, we'll find you some resources somewhere to make sure everyone gets fed, but we've got to have a bigger conversation. And we really, in my mind, we need to lead the way for the whole state as the capital city. We're small enough and malleable enough of local governments that we can move in this minutia and maybe have an impact and lead other communities when they don't have the resources that we do. So I hope we can take those steps in the coming months.
I will say that we're the only center in the Bluegrass region that operates a commercial kitchen. Really, probably just a handful of senior centers in the state operates their own commercial kitchen. The savings of that, if we had to go with an outside source, I look at it as when going to a grocery store versus going to a convenience store, that's the price difference. If you go to somewhere that that's providing these meals, whether it's Mom's Meals, Bateman Meals, something like that, that's providing food to all these other senior centers to serve, we prepare this in-house. That is a savings of over $130,000 a year by us providing that service in-house. That's more money that we can use to to serve more folks. So I just want you to understand, we're very unique. And we're just not the norm.
And that affords everyone sometimes a hot meal instead of just a sandwich pack or something like
Absolutely.
that most counties don't get to do.
And Marshall, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the inmates from the jail come and help theirs.
They do.
Okay,
Yes,
so just-
we
I
we
see
work
Jayla
with the
Hopper in the
trust.
audience, so I want to
Yes,
thank the
we-
continued support of
Yes.
being able to use
Yes,
residents.
we do use trustees.
Yeah.
And we're very, very fortunate to have that program, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say one thing, and I kind of jotted some stuff down. This is for you and Amy. I hope I'm not misspeaking here, but I think I'm confident that this court is committed to protecting our most valuable assets in this community. And for me, it's the seniors and the kids.
I've
So-
always said, if I wasn't advocating for seniors, I would absolutely be advocating for kids. And I
Yeah.
do advocate for kids because they both work together.
Yeah.
And
So thank you on
Thank you.
behalf of the
Thank you,
fiscal
guys.
court. And again, Amy, thank you to all the wonderful work you all are doing. Okay. We're going to invite Chief to come up. Good evening, Chief. How are you?
Doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you letting us get us on the agenda tonight. So this is just authorization to award a bid for the fire department generator. We budgeted for a new generator for Fire Station 9, which is the Evergreen Road Fire Station. That one's had some issues over the last few years, and they're just starting to reach that age where they're gonna have issues. So we budgeted to have it replaced this year, advertised for bids, received one bid, which met all the criteria, and we are recommending awarding that bid tonight.
Questions for Chief on this?
I got a question. I don't know about the bid particularly.
Ms. Bartender?
It said disposal of the existing generator. Is that going to be surplus, or are you going to give that to another agency, or what's going to happen with it? Or does it work?
It does work, but it has some issues. Right now, it's actually broke down as a mechanical issue with it. We just threw it in there for them to remove it, for the vendor to remove it, as far as what they do with it.
So it's a trade-in deal?
It's,
Are they giving us anything for it?
they're not giving us anything for it. That's the cost. We would have to pay someone to come in and remove the unit to replace the new one on the unit.
I got a question for the county attorney. Do we have to declare this existing generator surplus?
It's owned by the county, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it has to.
Yes.
Okay. So if they removed it and left it on site, can we come back and surplus that point and just remove the cost of the?
They can remove it, but they can't take it off. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So I might want to change their bid.
$1,000. It's in there as a line item.
No, not the money, but they may not bid that. They think they're getting an old generator.
The thing is, they can turn that into scrap and sell it.
Yeah, they could sell it for something, but we hadn't declared it surplus yet, I don't
Chief,
think.
do you think if, obviously, we're gonna have to do that right now, that that's gonna change the price on this proposal?
I think we could authorize for this to move forward without that line item of $1,075 for the removal of the generator. If Chief then has a conversation with them and they're willing to honor that, I'd be fine to go ahead with it in that manner, but
Yeah, I would have to speak with them to see.
I'd definitely like to know what the difference would be, because
Yeah. Squire Sebastian?
Carolyn's broken down.
Thank you, Judge. This is a question for the county attorney. When a handwritten change is made, I guess, to a necessary document, the changes, do they need to be initialed in this? Just, I just know where I worked before, if it was a necessary document and somebody changed some stuff on it, just handwrote some stuff in, and had to initial it. I'm asking that for future reference.
It's always best practice. That way, somebody can't later come back and say, I'm not the one who made that change.
You got it, okay. So we just need to be very mindful of that, please. whoever's sitting in these meetings, please be mindful of that.
That 1,075 also has delivery setup, startup, and testing.
So for this, the reason I included that in the bid part is because they're gonna have to remove the old generator
Right.
from the concrete pad and then reinstall the new generator on the existing concrete pad. So I included that cost to make sure it was included in there, but
It's not like we can take out that and just say that's taken care of getting rid of the old one, because there's other things involved in that price.
So may I ask this, Judge?
Please.
Mr. County Attorney, how would you make a recommendation to the court to proceed? Because I think we certainly want to proceed. We're heading into fall, which is a heavy, weather event. We're heading into winter. We want to make sure that our protections to persons and property is taken care of, especially on this end of the county. I'd say Squire Tanner agrees with that as well. We want to upfit Evergreen, just like every other fire station.
Absolutely.
We want that. So could you give us potentially some language as to how we can address that, to go ahead and possibly move forward, and then perhaps the chief could just make sure that everything would be copacetic with the vendor on that, knowing that this is a piece of county property and we actually have to surplus it.
Can we just put on the next
Because
agenda to surplus?
I just don't know.
When do you anticipate this generator going in?
he said they had, the vendor I talked to said they had it in stock. Usually within a few weeks of getting authorization, they usually move pretty quick, so.
6 to 8 weeks is what it says.
Yeah, when I spoke to him today, he said that's typical. He said they do have this one in stock, so they could possibly move faster on it.
Can we just surplus it next meeting? We're meeting
I
on
could see if
25th.
they would be okay with removing it, leaving it on site, and then us surplus
Well,
it.
they got removed anyway, so.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
Yeah,
we
right.
can't take it. So, yeah, I mean.
The only
that's-
difference
they
was
should
they would-
expect to take it, so I would think that would
Yeah.
be something.
They just wouldn't be able to remove it from property.
Just overlook it.
Right, and maybe that's just a clarification, phone call to make, because maybe the language is somewhat ambiguous, and maybe
Yeah.
that's the rationale.
Yep.
Would there be any issues with this bid if it was tabled until the next meeting, potentially?
25th meeting.
I don't believe so. We were just trying to get it moving just because winter's coming, but, I mean, if we need to table it for that issue, we can.
If we
Still
could
be good.
potentially table it until the next meeting and potentially have an item on the agenda
Authorization to surplus and then.
to potentially surplus it, and then that could all be done, unless you anticipate something happening in
The
the
bid's
next.
valid, bid's valid for 30 days.
Yeah.
So
We're fine.
the next meeting predates, stays within the range of the bid
That-
qualifications.
That may be the cleanest way to do it, is potentially if somebody would like to make a motion to potentially table this until the next meeting.
I would like to make the motion to
Well-
cancel the table this to the next meeting.
We actually have to do that in the
We'll do
voting
it in the
session.
voting,
And so,
Okay.
to do that.
Or if
in
you
the
talk to
voting
Travis, see if there's any reason for us to keep it. I mean, if there's no change on the money, I mean, is it worth, do we have another generator similar to it, one of the other stations we could use for parts? I mean, it might be worth
We have some others
conversation.
similar, I just don't know, if it would be feasible to keep it.
We have to store it somewhere.
Well, I'm just saying, if he
Take
wants to
space.
rip parts off of it or something, you know what I mean?
I
There might be a
understand.
Double
handful.
generators are like 0460 engines with the power unit and all that, but they're all so old.
Yeah,
I mean, they're,
that's fine, just a thought.
I think it'd be,
Okay, so
What
we'll
does it
table it when we
run?
get there.
It runs now and works right now, does it?
It does, it has one mechanical issue that we have to get fixed on it, that we're still waiting to get fixed, but
have we replaced any with new before?
this is the first one.
The first
that
new
opens.
one for the, okay.
So we replaced the one at Switzer Fire Station,
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah. So did we surplus that?
Well, yes, we did surplus that old one, because it actually went out of service well before we
Right.
actually
Right.
replaced the new one.
I know we surplus that one.
Yeah.
Squire Wisman, do you have
Chief,
something?
how does this bid that we put out, this new
That was
system,
that one.
relate to? Is it comparable to the same systems that we have at the other stations?
Talking about the new generator?
You had in your bid removing of pad and replacing if it needs to be. I don't see that directly in here, and the bid specifically says a 48 kilowatt natural gas standby generator, but the bid has a 45, it seems, or 48/45, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so depending on the fuel source, it's the exact same generator, it's just depending on if you run on propane versus natural gas, as to what the BTU output will be. The reason that was in there on existing pad or if needed, because depending on the size, dimensions and stuff of the new generator, if it required a different size pad, then we wanted to make sure that was included in their bid.
Is that the size of the current one's 45 watt, 48 watt?
They're actually 30 kilowatt, the
So we're
older ones,
upsizing.
so we're actually just bumping up a little bit to make them more, more efficient, and make sure that they don't have any issues,
Gotcha.
running that entire station.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Next, I believe Tammy's here. Good evening, Tammy. How are you doing?
Good evening, doing well. This is an authorization to apply for the CAECO insurance grant to fund the purchase of a patient lift transfer chair, a body transfer lift, and a mesh lift slings that go with those items to assist with transporting inmates who are wheelchair users. The Franklin County Regional Jail currently has an inmate who uses a wheelchair. Staff must physically lift the inmate for transfer to the shower vehicle and other locations.
Questions for Tammy or Jail is here too?
Self-explanatory.
It's a 20% match, so the estimated cost to be about $261.
Just the opposing question, if we don't get this grant, we need to make some concessions somehow. Do we have that in the jail's budget to meet this, since we have a handicapped person in the jail that needs to have assistance?
Yes, sir. We can purchase this out of the commissary if we have to. This was presented to us, and this would be this would be a huge benefit to our staff and for the safety of this person. They're
That right there settles it.
right there.
But we cannot like buy it and then wait for the grant, right? We have to wait. We can't get reimbursed, I think, is
Well-
how the grant works, correct?
Depends on the grant.
Right. I would like to go ahead and purchase one now out of our commissary account, and if we were approved and had another one, that would be fantastic. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what a Hoyer lift is. It will allow us to lift the person up for medical reasons. It allows us to transfer them to a bed for toileting, for these issues. These are used all the time, and the batteries can go, and if we had two of them, that would be fantastic.
Do we have any currently?
No, sir, we do not. We have not, since I've been there.
Okay.
No. Is there a need? There is 100% need, because, if you have someone in jail that 6'4", 240 pounds, and I'm having staff have to lift them up, it's an issue.
Okay. Sparks, questions in here?
I did, thank you,
Okay.
Judge. I don't recall seeing in this, when is the application deadline, and when are we to hear back from the All Lines Fund?
It's September 16th is the due date. And last year, when we received the award for the restraint chairs, we got notified the 1st of December.
Okay, all right. Just trying to gauge the timing. Thank you.
Good.
Do we need to approve buying one from commissary? Is that something that's totally up to jail?
Yep. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Tammy, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Amy's with us next. Good evening, Amy.
Good evening. I'd like to report on the receipts and expenditures for the 2 months ending August 31st of '24. Receipts were $5.4 million, expenditures $7.2, giving us a shortage of $1.8. Adding in our fund balance of $29.9, that gives us a fund balance of $28.1. I do want to point out that we did have receipts come in for the opioid settlement fund of $75,283. Those are court settlements. Also, you'll see that the jail fund, fire fund, and sheriff fund are at a negative balance. I will be adjusting that with a cash transfer at next court. And I've also put in, I'm sorry, I've put the revenue and expenses as of September 6th, if you have any questions.
What questions do we have for Amy on this information? Thank you very much. All right, next is payment of claims for Kim. Does anybody have any questions on the payment of claims? Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I was just looking at the jail fund bills, and it appears, I guess, in account 03-5101-445, that the concrete ad is more expensive than the other ads. Is there any reason for discrepancy on that? Was it like a rush, or just asking? Or have the rates gone up? Maybe there was a timing in the rates.
I believe it might be due to an extra line where we modified that one. It might have been a little bit more.
Okay, just checking, because we have, there are 3 bids in there, and it just making sure about that.
Thank you.
And if we go on down into 03-5101-711, same page, specialty equipment, where it says gauze, what is is that QC or OC?
It's OC spray.
It's spray?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know what OC was. Maybe everybody else knew. Everybody know what OC is?
No.
Okay, it's spray. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Kim? All righty. No more questions. We are going to, authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.8101CF. Discussions or proposed of pending litigation against or on behalf of public agency, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment of individual employee.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are in closed session.
Authorization to return into open session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We're in open session. Next agenda item, authorization to hire community outreach coordinator. Any questions on this? Alrighty, seeing none, we're gonna move on. Authorization to approve a memorandum of understanding between Fiscal Court and ASAP. So I believe, Charlie, you wanna get up and say some words maybe?
Sir.
Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Charlie Kendall. I'm the board coordinator for Franklin County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, also known as ASAP. Fortuitously, I have Amy Snow here, who is our board chair, and David Boggs, who's our board vice chair.
Good deal. So do you want to talk a little bit about the MOA we're talking about doing with Fiscal Court?
ASAP applied along with other agencies here in town as part of an opioid alliance to apply to the state for some opioid abatement funds, and we were successful. Of the 7 organizations that applied, 5 of them received funding, including Wanda Joyce and Just Say Yes and Yes Arts, Fresh Start. In my proposal, I was trying to build capacity in ASAP to do a couple of different things. One of which we're accomplishing with the food, or with the farmer's market and the Fresh Start. It was kind of a separate piece of the proposal to provide them an opportunity, people that are going through transition in recovery, the opportunity to get online order food from the farmer's market, and then we were providing cooking classes, and all that's been going very, very well. We also contract with the emergency food pantry, and we've been delivering food to the syringe exchange program and to all the treatment facilities here in town as the need arises. And the third thing with regard to food had to do with providing vouchers for individuals who are in treatment so that they could avail themselves of fresh food. We have over a 60% redemption rate on those food vouchers, so it's just an extraordinary program. The other part of the program is what I want him here to talk about tonight with you, and that is specifically, I wanted to build capacity of ASAP to bring the organizations that I mentioned together in what we call the Opioid Alliance. We're all doing very much the same things. As you heard from presentations earlier, Amy does phenomenal work with Wanda Joyce Robinson. Many of the people that are the parents or grandparents are being seen by other members of the organizations that we are in contact with all the time. You heard about the Senior Citizen Center. What we're trying to do is, first of all, is to have all of those organizations work more closely together and understand that we're seeing the same people at different stages of their life and at different stages of their journey. Whether it's the recovery journey, whether it's the sustainability, whether it's the incarcerated journey, whether it's the, as Amy referred to, upstream. I come from a background in public health, which means we're trying to find the root cause, which is what we try to do with the Just Say Yes program. The mistake I made in applying for the funds is I didn't ask for enough money to pay for some benefits. And so in so doing, I have a position that I've been advertising for informally. And I began to cast around for some possible solutions. How can I find someone that could fulfill the needs of the MOA that I have with the state? We're hoping that we will be reapplying it in successive years for continuation funding, obviously. And that's what led me here tonight within the discussion here with Fiscal Court. We think we've got a win-win, something that would benefit Max and his focus in the drug courts. Those people that are being that he sees and that he cares for are the same ones that we're caring for in many of the other organizations here in town that we're coordinating. So it looked like a win-win to us.
Perfect. And before I open up for questions, I want to thank you because, to be honest, you're my go-to. I mean, whenever I have questions about opioid
working with Woodford County or anything like that, you always pick the phone up, and I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate David Boggs, Amy, anybody who serves on your board, because you all are doing very good work for Franklin County, so thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right, so what questions do we have for Charlie on this agenda item? So it's basically ASAP coming together with the fiscal court to create this position to better help our community. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that, Charlie. This position will be now a new position in county government, and it will continue on past the funding from ASAP. Is that correct? I'm trying to make sure because I'm trying to look at all the clauses that are in this, trying to read it and make sure about the MOE being 30 days written notice, so I'm trying to make sure what that means.
It is a new position in county government, yes, under the umbrella of the county attorney's office, okay? And so ASAP has graciously been willing to go in on this project with us in order to try to get individuals in this community the help that they need. In the way we kind of envision it is kind of funneling that through the court system, as many of these individuals that ASAP is seeing, I'm seeing at multiple levels through the cases that I do. I do dependency, neglect, and abuse cases. I do criminal cases. We do juvenile cases. And so all of these same individuals, we're all dealing with, having interactions with them and their families in various forms. And so it just seemed like a really natural fit as we can, help to funnel people through these services. The way that we kind of propose the MOU is, or the memorandum of agreement, is that with these grant funds that were initially applied for, those filtering through ASAP to the county, I think they are looking to, once again apply for those grant funds in the future.
Right.
And we will be able to provide real numbers for ASAP of, this many people came through this position seeking help in some way, shape, or form. Because we're all, in addition to the opioid portion of it, and I know part of this grant was also mental health.
Right.
We've been in discussions with the state. I think the position has already gone out to be advertised to help start a mental health court here in Franklin County. And I'm looking to this individual to be involved in that as well. So not only the opiate issue and the drug issue that we're dealing with also the mental health issue, and this person helping get people services that they so desperately need. Because, I can tell people to go get a mental health assessment, to go get treatment, to go get drug screens and those kinds of things. And some of these individuals just don't know where to go to get those things in the proper fit for them. And so this individual will help filter them to these resources that they absolutely need and be a guide for them. And that's kind of the way we got the title. And so it's our thought to, as long as those grant funds and NASAP is willing to work with us, to do it that way. And I know there's been some other discussions in the past as far as the opiate settlement funds, that, potentially if we need to tap into that, I may be coming to you all to see if we can do that should these grant funds from ASAP dry up.
One of the pieces in our scope of work that I originally applied for was to do the work necessary to build a recovery-ready community application to be certified Franklin County as a recovery-ready community. Doesn't mean any additional money for the county, but it's something all of the agencies in Franklin County can use on their grants. Okay, say we are a recovery-ready community, and what that means is that the flow among and between all of the pieces and parts of recovery are smoothed out, all right? And that's exactly what he needs. He needs to know where all the places are that people can get services. I know where those are. I need help making that application. So that was kind of the linchpin of how this sort of came together. Well, wait a minute, I'm doing this and you need that. Well, why don't I give you some money? And I'm the only one here tonight that's giving you money.
Charlie, kind of circling back to Squire Sebastian's question. Ultimately, not putting words in your mouth, but,
you know, if the money stops, then, you know, we'll have to continue
Yes,
paying
yes,
for
that's
this.
the point.
But you made the comment, I believe, when Max hit a little bit on the numbers, you had said something like there's a 15-year study that, or something, that they're just wanting to start getting the data from this point on, right?
Yes, our vision with our opioid alliance is, we want to stop what you've been hearing tonight. And to do that, you gotta hit all the different pieces. You gotta do the one to Joyce Robinson, you've gotta do the jail piece, you gotta do the prevention piece, you gotta do all those pieces. So our vision was, well, no, wait a minute, these opioid abatement funds are for 15 years. That's generational. We can make a difference. We can make that change. You saw what Amy did in 24 months. I mean, that's what the vision is. So this was actually one of the missing pieces, were some of the folks that are coming through his part of the world, and that adds to our picture. So our picture is that we're trying to create is, all right, here is the path of recovery within Franklin County, and here are the different agencies that are working to fix those pieces, but our ultimate goal is to change that whole vision so that we don't end up with tons of people in court, tons of people in the morgue, tons of people in the hospital, tons of people in treatment, because we've begun the harder work of making a difference up the stream, so to speak.
And I think in my mind, what I love so much about this, which is one of the things I love about Franklin County, period, is that we are so good at putting together a continuum of care so that people from here to here know where to go, they know how to get services, they know how to get help, and we can actually make our county a little healthier than it is. So I'm thrilled and I appreciate you. I do have one question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I know that Amy has a grant. She came before us, a couple months ago now, and it's $35,000, am I remembering correctly? So we may have that as well. And so, is this gonna work for that? Do you feel like that it's still a good fit?
Yes.
Okay, thank
We
you.
should know by the end of this
Yeah.
month about that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All righty, Charlie, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Oh, we have a question from the treasurer.
Not a question. I just wanted to make the court aware because I think we were misinformed. So the funding from ASAP will be covering the gross, $55,000. The general fund will be covering the benefits, so that's roughly $20,000. Charlie did say he would try to write that into your next, the whole amount in the next. But I
It
just
would be
wanted to
less
make you
because
aware.
we're in the fiscal year already, correct? If he applies and gets it. Do you apply, when is the next grant?
The next one would probably be in the late winter, late winter.
So it'd be before our next budget,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd be looking at maybe less.
But also, Amy, they never don't get grants. I have no doubt we're gonna get this.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna get
Don't
this.
say that.
So we can use that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
is what
okay.
I'm
But
saying.
Amy, yeah, that's a good point. Alrighty, sounds good. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and move into the voting session of our meeting tonight. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dykus.
Here.
Squire Harrod.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Westman.
Present.
Judge Mueller.
Present. Authorization to award a bid to Veritech Inc., sole bidder for fire department generator.
I make a motion to table that
Second.
until we iron out a few little things in that.
I'll second.
Alrighty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we will table that till hopefully the next meeting. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to the Kentucky Association of Counties Insurance Grant Program for the Franklin County Regional Jail.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any claim? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid. Authorization to hire Ashley King as Community Outreach Coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a memorandum of understanding between Franklin County Fiscal Court and Franklin County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, ASAP.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Before we all leave,